say, God bless our troops, God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engine!
With one race to go until the postseason, the field keeps the chase for the championship rolling into the Northeast to visit Miles the Monster. We're live from the virtual Dover Motor Speedway. We welcome you to race number 12 of the first season in the QSR Xfinity Series. Embracing the monster we are tonight, and we give you a warm welcome on Vspeed, where alongside the redneck announcer Jake Reeves, I'm Kenneth Bueno. Now, Jake, we have ourselves the end of a 3-race short track stint. We had our last race at Richmond not too long ago. Tonight we take on Dover, a very different beast, literally and figuratively, right before the playoffs begin.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it right there, Kenneth. I mean, there you see the monster's eyes. That is what awaits each and every one of these drivers, all 28 of them. There you see the schedule, obviously. We went all the way from Daytona. We're right here at Dover. Next week, we got Auto Club. And then, great to be able to celebrate the 4th of July, the Independence Day of the United States of America, to start off with a chase here for the QSR Xfinity Series. It's going to be a blast, but I'm going to tell you right now, this track right here, it is hot. It is slick. These guys will be all over the place here tonight.
And what that means is that we'll probably have a lot of intensity, Jake, coming towards the postseason, because we know Auto Club is next, but Dover surely brings its fireworks in its own sense. You look at the point standings just before we get into the green flag for tonight's race here in Dover, Delaware. Jake, what stands out to you most here? Because Daniel Monix continues to be at the top of the board, and your top 3 are only separated by 14. So those guys who get the seats at the table to decide the playoff schedule, they're looking good right now, but it's still pretty close between them.
Yeah, but honestly, I mean, Kenneth, I would not take out that guy sitting in the 5th spot right now in the standings, Kevin West. Kevin West has been on a straight-up tear this season. Obviously, a trailer park dude on TikTok. This man right here, he has literally lit it up each and every time he comes out here on the racetrack. It doesn't make a damn where they're at, Kenneth. He is able to get it done, but also, like you talked about, Molnick, Ziegler, and Joyner, and even Team Vspeed out there with Bradley Cooper and Morgan Cook. They do a fantastic job as well. So that top 5 is really what stands out. They have separated themselves from the rest of the field.
And that will mean a lot coming towards that postseason like we were talking about. That yellow line, you see the cut line, definitely means a lot in that chase for this QSR championship. And also, you want to have the bragging rights of being the first champion in this Xfinity Series. So we'll keep an eye on that and all the storylines as we get towards through tonight's race. But let's take a look at Dover Motor Speedway in itself. This track opened a while back in 1960s in late May, and this track formerly known as White Lightning when they changed from asphalt to concrete, now known as the Monster Mile. Jake, what is so difficult about this racetrack to drive, and what makes it so unique as a racetrack in itself and as a short track venue in this series?
Well, I mean, Kenneth, you mentioned it right there, concrete all the way around this 1 mile racetrack. Really, the big keys is going to be coming off these corners, especially coming off of 2 and really coming off of 4. With these Xfinity cars, very, very heavy race cars, these guys will end up starting to push and get a little bit tight, especially coming off these corners. That turn 2 will straight up jump out and bite you, and turn 4 will as well. So when these tires really start to wear on this concrete racing surface, they're really going to be pushing a lot coming out of the corners. That's something I'm really going to be watching for here this evening.
We were talking to Bradley Cooper, Vspeed's very own, a little earlier on tonight while he was hanging with us as we were getting pre-race festivities going. He told us about going over that crest and wanting to get a flatter exit off the corners because that wall is so treacherous once you go running up the hill, and as soon as you get into that wall, it could cause a ton of mayhem. Let's bring you trackside and get you tonight's starting grid for this race here from Dover Motor Speedway on behalf of the QSR Xfinity Series here on Vspeed. On the pole is Caleb Nelson, who won last week's outing at Richmond Raceway, looking to go 2 in a row. He's won 2 of the last 4 races in this series, with Jared Ziegler on his outside in the number 57 Toyota Supra. Right behind them, you will find Chuck Sweeting in his 75 Chevrolet Camaro. The 199 of Galen D1's going to be on his outside. That's going to be the second row back to P4. Marshall Newton putting that number 76 inside the top 5 through qualifying with a 23.28. He's got Trenton Wilkin to his outside, one of the faster cars in practice, having to do a lot more work, though, once we get to the green flag. Kevin West in the 1 machine going to be in 7th place. Joseph Turciano in the 21 on his outside in 8th place. That'll be row number 4. And rounding out the top 10 on the starting grid, Ronnie Joyner in the 00 and Stephen McGough in the 83.
Your point leader, Daniel Molnix, will start in the P11 spot. How about the Indy winner back there with the Cartoon Network paint scheme, CJ Gates in the number 9. He's going to start on the outside of row number 6. Austin Dowdy in the number 8. He's going to start from P13 with Ryan Felbrick starting in P14. How about right there, Team Vspeed, Bradley Cooper, going to start P15 here tonight. And the owner of QSR, Quentin Stewart's going to roll off on the outside of row number 8, P16. Spencer Johnson and Mike Petrin make up row number 9. And Garrett McMurtry and Bradley Hall, that's the top 20.
Right behind them in 21st, Brent Allen in the 13 rolls off inside row number 11. Randy Sally in the 69 on his outside. Jack Chevrolet Camaro rolls off from P22. Tyler Clement going to be the final driver to put in a qualifying time in the 28. Ethan Wisnowski looking to make the gamble. He did not put in a Q time. He is 24th in row 12. Frank Walsh in the 54 is inside in 25th. Behind them, Reed Sanders in the 4 car in 26th position. And rounding out our 28 car field, Brandon Yates in the 15 and the 3 of Ryan Commons. Ready for the green from Monster Mile, Dover Motor Speedway, 2 races before the QSR Xfinity Series playoffs. Caleb Nelson, Jared Ziegler lead us to the green, and we are underway from Dover.
Ziegler's going to get a pretty good run up on the outside. Try to see if he can get around Nelson right behind him. Sweeten right there trying to keep it going. Once getting up, everybody going through turn 1 and 2, trying to keep it straight as they go into turn 3.
And so far, the 57 of Jared Ziegler moving his Toyota Supra to the front had the immediate statement to Caleb Nelson, who falls back to second. We saw the side-by-side action right behind for position inside the top 5. Marshall Newton and Trenton Wilkin going at it before the moment. Everyone keeps it clean, and a very tough Dover Motor Speedway catches some, and it catches Nelson. Piece of the outside wall on lap 2, and look at this, Jake. Ziegler already up to a half a second advantage. He is running away with this one early.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I'm looking at Ziegler really doing a fantastic job, like you talked about right there, Kenneth, getting out to this big lead. But one thing about it, we talked about it, tires is going to be the key here tonight at Dover. Ziegler putting down some serious lap times, getting away from Nelson and Sweeten right now. What Ziegler's got to be worried about right now is trying not to burn that stuff up. I think Nelson might just be laying in the weeds, waiting on Ziegler to burn his stuff up, and then Nelson's going to be trying to pounce.
That's a really good point. You can easily burn your Goodyear Eagles up here at Dover, and you can see Ziegler already running the middle to high lanes and wanting to use the grip up there available early, but Nelson a bit more patient, although he did get the outside wall on lap 2. you're right, trying to stay patient here early on. And, this is a 105-lap race, so it ticks off quite quickly here at a track like Dover, where you're setting lap times around the 23 and 24-second bracket. But still, it is going to be a shorter race than you'd expect. Here's the battle for 5th place. Trenton Wilkin in the 12 at PNC Bank Chevrolet Camaro looking to pounce on Marshall Newton. He was one of the faster cars in practice, but seemed to fall a little short in qualifying. In the stack up here, Galen Wunsch goes up high, Newton checks up, and Wilkin makes this the battle for 5th.
I mean, right there, you see right there what Wilkin was able to do right there with Marshall Newton. That's exactly what you want to try to do. Wrap the bottom here at Dover. And he's doing a fantastic job. That little bit of a stack up might have helped Wilkin out. We got a caution coming off of turn number 2.
And it's Brent Allen in trouble among others. And it's a large crash on the back straightaway in turn 2. There's the 13 car of Allen torn up as he tries to pick things up, and several others got involved in that. Our first caution out early. And the look on board there from Allen as he tries to get his car settled, but it looks like it is completely parked on the back straightaway, and he's going to get this one settled. We'll see what exactly happened with Allen and company. Jake, take us through what happens here on the replay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing Brent Allen right here. He just snaps loose. I mean, basically right there in front of Spencer Johnson. Johnson's got nowhere to go, and then obviously this place is not as wide as, say, Talladega or Daytona or even Auto Club, which is where we're going to be next week. This place is not wide, especially coming off of turn 2. When you got a car speeded, you basically got one lane, and then if you end up picking the wrong lane, you're going to pile right into them, and that's what happened with each and every one of them, literally right behind Brent Allen. They end up just piling in right there. I mean, he gets loose, which is very, very, I guess you could say, different from what I've seen with these Xfinity cars here at Dover, Kenneth. But, I mean, he gets a little bit loose right there. Usually we see him get tight, but you can get loose in these cars as you're riding way back here in the back. Wow, Frank Walsh tried to get out of the gas. Another one gets tagged in the back end, and then he ends up literally right in the middle of Spencer Johnson right there, that being Brandon Yates, who we was riding on board with. But a lot of guys going down pit road right here, Kenneth.
Looks like the call early here on lap number 8, and I was talking with Bradley, and he was giving me a bit of info about this series, and he told me that they run 100% fuel with a rather short race, so you're looking at one pit stop guaranteed to make it all the way to the checkered flag. And, there's a gamble, certainly a rewarding one, Jake, if you can make this pit stop early. Obviously, a lot of cars down there for damage repair. There's a bigger mission at hand, but for a lot of those guys, maybe some strategy in the cards as well. Get a couple cautions. You might have a good enough call that gives you track position. And guys like Reed Sanders in this gorgeous Detroit Lions Chevrolet Camaro wants to pit early here, although he didn't get damage on the caution. 7.2-second stop, so wants to go on an alternate strategy early on in the going.
Well, I mean, Kenneth, we talked about this, or I'm not 100% if we did talk about this, because there was so much buildup here for the Monster Mile. Everybody, basically 5 sets of tires. That's 4 sets in the pits, 1 on the car. I mean, it wouldn't have been a bad idea for some of these guys up there in the top 10 to maybe go ahead, take that opportunity, jump down pit road, and maybe take a set right there. But nobody up there inside the top 10 wanted to go down and do that. So they had those sets of tires available to them. They just decided not to, which track position is going to be key here tonight. But also, like we were talking about the tires, you basically it's basically a balancing act right now is what everybody's going to have to be dealing with here this evening.
Yeah, but it's really scary when you drive Dover. I know I've driven it in Sims so many times, and I think I enjoy the difficulty of it, the discipline you have to carry, but I think nothing is scarier than when you go off the corner and all you see is the outside wall, because it gets so difficult to drive it off the right front over a long run. And these cars usually run more off the right rear than the right front, like the next-gen car, for example. But still, Jake, it's so tough to get the throttle in mid-corner and make sure you don't get into that outside wall, and also just make sure you don't get the rear tires lit up, because otherwise you'll find yourself in a situation like Brent Allen, a bunch of them did on that caution flag.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be in that situation. You see a lot of guys down there. Spencer Johnson still on pit road, obviously heavily damaged. Damn, that thing looks like a modified. Really what you would see on a short track, much like Dover, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And a lot of drivers still down pit road trying to get some damage fixed. And looks like we're fixing to get ready for a restart. And obviously we saw right there with that little bit of an 8-lap stint right there, Kenneth. Ziegler got out to a huge lead. Nelson kind of laid back a little bit. Granted, like you said, he got up into the turn 2 wall, but still, he laid back a little bit, tried to conserve his tires a little bit. Ziegler, on the other hand, he went up there, he burnt them suckers up. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens right here on this restart, especially with Ziegler now going to be starting on the inside, Nelson up top, and Ziegler was able to power away with that, or with the initial start on the top side. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this front row stacks up on this restart.
You know something that's really threatening here at Dover, especially when you get a caution flag around here and there? Wheel spin. We might see drivers get into that situation. If it stacks up a lane, it could get you in a situation like Jimmy Johnson back in, 2016, when he killed the whole field as he misshifted and the car just got out of whack. But nonetheless, Jared Ziegler and Caleb Nelson, front row restart. First one of the night, lap 11.
Here we go, Ziegler. He's going to get a pretty good jump. Nelson going to see if he can fall in line. Sweeten right in behind him, once trying to figure out a lane to get down. He's not going to be able to do it. Here comes Trenton Wilkin in the 12. He's going to take a shot down to the inside gates, into the wall, way back there. But Ziegler still leads as they work their way off of turn 4.
Wilkin is starting to punch up high. He gets underneath Galen Wunsch in that 199 car. Sweeting looking for a pass attempt on his own. That's on Caleb Nelson for second place. Extra insurance for Ziegler to hold on to the lead. The 07 car powers up high. He stays in second. Sweeting had to back out of that one, and Wilkin continues this door-to-door fight for fourth place. He's got it down low, but everyone's still keeping up with that 57. Not as good of a launch as it happened on the initial start for Ziegler. We'll see if he can hold on to the lead.
Yeah, we'll see how he's able to do it. Marshall Newton's going to slide up the racetrack, kick the Superman. Ronnie Joyner in the 00 is going to look his way down to the inside of Marshall Newton. He's riding on board with Ziegler, seeing all the battling going on. There's the battle right there with Joyner and Newton, and right behind them, your point leader. Didn't have a good start, or a good qualifying position, I should say, here tonight. Wow, almost some door banging between Joyner and Newton right there. And that's going to open the door for Daniel Monix to try to follow his Venom Motorsports teammate. More door banging between Newton and Monix going into 3.
Oh, they are getting physical here at Dover early on. Monix wants to patrol his way through the field. He only has one win this season. That came courtesy of the third race of the campaign at Las Vegas. Still searching for short track win number 1 of the campaign. The Bang Energy Ford Mustang dives underneath and somewhat pulling his way through the field. Monix is, but the points leader does move up to 7th. But look at this, Ronnie Joyner and Galen Wunsch. Battles aren't over yet, and Monix is still trying to dive underneath in the corner. It appears he's driving this car pretty hard into the corners, Jake, and it seems to be working out for him. Monix on the upward trajectory here at lap 16.
Yeah, I mean, he's really one of the biggest movers, if not the biggest mover so far in the field, that being your point leader, the number 2 of Daniel Monix, just basically following his teammate, Ronnie Joyner, and also right in front of him, Galen Wunsch in the 199, also an affiliate with the Venom Motorsports organization. Now he's going to take a look up to the top. He's going to cross him over. He's going to look down to the bottom on Trent Wilkin, not able to do it. Gets out of the gas. Wilkins sent it in really hard, almost got in to Chuck Sweeten. As now Ziegler still trying to hold on to this lead, but I'm telling you, that gap is getting closer and closer as Wunsch goes way up the racetrack. That's going to open the door for Joyner and Monix to get by.
Hard to get through the middle lane off the corners, and Wunsch is going to stay at least on the top side. The 00 Joyner making this a fair fight. Sweeting giving way to Wilkin, who is starting to move his way up through the field. This 12 car is on a mission, and so is Daniel Monix. Joyner trying to hold off the duo of the 199 and the 2 car. Almost make it 3 or so wide. We might have 4 or 5 cars in this race still available for top 5 position. They are all over the place. And mind you, many of these guys, Jake, are running for the top spots in the standings. They want a playoff spot good enough so that they can go into the postseason with a little more calm than others in this field. And they're pushing really hard right now. You'd expect them not to 19 laps in, but they're giving it all that they've got.
Well, I mean, that bragging rights has got to do a lot, really, Kenneth. I mean, to be able to come out of Dover and say that you survived and you was able to grab the points lead at Dover with one more race left before they get to the chase. Each and every one of those drivers has it in their mind. Ziegler has it in his mind. Joyner, Monix, all these guys has got it in their minds. As Marshall Newton got up a little bit too high, almost got in the fence. Kevin West going to take a shot down to the inside. May end up getting C.J. Gates to go with him. Wunsch up top, almost gets into the wall. Newton gets into the wall again, and here comes Molnix down on the bottom side trying to advance. That campaign that he's had for so many laps here at Dover so far, Kenneth, he's going to be able to get around Wunsch, put himself into that sixth spot.
Tells you why he's the points leader in Season 1 of this QSR Xfinity Series. The consistency and the ability to weave through traffic. Molnix is going to settle nicely in position number 6. You were looking earlier at the one car, Kevin West, the Trailer Park Dude TikTok Chevrolet Camaro, dropped 2 spots since the drop of this green flag tonight. But he's trying to work his way to the very place where he dropped the green flag from. He's going to look underneath Galen Wunsch in the 199. This is going to be for the position where he started in 7th place. They're going to keep in mind with Marshall Newton and, of course, like you said, Jake, CJ Gates right behind in this 9 car. But the point I'll make here is that none of these drivers have pitted. So at this moment, you're looking at the tire wear becoming a little more apparent. You're starting to see more drivers fall off and start to emerge as Trenton Wilkin pounces on the inside of Caleb Nelson. This is for 2nd place. What do you notice here, and what do you keep in mind, at least here in this run, knowing that you still have pit stop at least remaining, and you're on a bit of worn sets of tires at this moment?
Well, I mean, you want to be able to try to keep it straight for one thing. I mean, we've already saw what could happen when you just got about 8 laps on your tires. Think about what's going to happen when you got 24 coming to 25 laps on your tires. You see Nelson trying to pinch Wilkin down as much as he can, and that is by design, folks. He's trying to pinch him down, but you got to be careful. Almost got turned. Wilkin had to get out of the gas. Nelson able to slide by him, but I mean, Kenneth, back to what your question was, I think what every single one of these guys is doing is just trying to manage themselves. I think what they're going to be aiming for is try to split this sucker right down the middle. Obviously, right there at 105 laps in this race, I think they'll probably go, give or take, say around 51, maybe even 50, somewhere in that range. I think that's when they're going to try to go down pit road, because you want to try to split them down even as much as you can.
And you also want to, of course, keep the even amount of wear on all tires. As the car goes into the outside wall, that was a lapped machine, and that appeared to be, I think that might have been Brandon Yates. It was in the 15 car, tagged the outside wall and got down into traffic. A big scare there for Nelson, Wilkin, and company, and all of a sudden you can see the product of that scare. Everyone separates at least between the top 3. Ziegler and Nelson still manning your top 2, 27 laps in, and this is almost a mirror image of what we saw at Richmond last week, Jake, and you were, of course, there to commentate that. Nelson starting in 2nd, moving his way to the lead, and never relinquishing it, leading 119 of the 120 laps, and Ziegler following right behind in 2nd. Doesn't seem to be a surprise that the 2 best short track racers are going at it 1-2 here at Dover.
Yeah, I mean, both of them really have been the best ones that I've seen so far. Both drivers, Ziegler and Nelson, have been able to wrap that bottom very, very well. Ziegler maybe a little bit higher going into the corners, but he's able to get it pinned down right there on the bottom, which is, I guess you could say that's an old school feel. That's why I love this place right here, Kenneth, because it's old school. You can't run up top. You can't try to get the runs on the high side. You got to keep it down there on the bottom of the racetrack. The shortest way around this place is the fastest way around this place. Both of those drivers have kept it pinned down perfect every single corner that they have went through, that being Ziegler and Nelson, and they're doing a fantastic job. I got a feeling it's going to be a shootout later on between that 57 and 07.
Yeah, I guess what you mean by that is that if you're running the bottom and you want to beat a driver in front of you, you might have to use the chrome horn on the race car if you want to move a car off the racetrack or cough up a mistake out of them. But we've seen a lackluster amount of mistakes from Ziegler and Nelson continuing to man the top 2 spots. Let's turn forward, and let's turn actually backwards here. This is going to be for 15th place. Really good battle between Stephen McGough, Austin Dowdy, Bradley Cooper, and the number 25 machine, one of Vspeed's own. And look at that Ally Chevrolet of Dowdy going down low, not afraid to use the bottom group, but not enough to beat the 83. And here comes Quentin Stewart fight on the outside. A really good battle in the mid-pack.
Yeah, and Bradley Cooper's going to see if he can try to advance on that outside. Dowdy took a shot, but he was not able to make it work. There you see the driver cam right there with Austin Dowdy right there, looking calm, cool, collected, focused right now out of the number 8 Ally Chevrolet, as he's able to let Bradley Cooper slide by him. The next one behind him is going to be Reed Sanders, and then Frank Walsh back here. It's going to be one of the lap cars, I believe. I was looking at my leaderboard, kind of missed that one, but you see Cooper up here doing a fantastic job. I mean, it's like you said, Kenneth, we talked to Bradley earlier. Check it out. Got the Vspeed in the background.
Oh, yeah.
How about that one? Very, very nice right there with Bradley Cooper. And looking, I mean, zoned in, focused. That's what you got to have here. You got to have focus. You can't have anybody coming up tapping you on the shoulder. Hey, what are you doing? What the hell do you think I'm doing? I'm trying to drive here at Dover. You can't have any distractions when you're racing here.
No, you can't. It's so difficult to drive, and Cooper is locked in, focused, getting by Mago, and he moves up to 15th place. So we'll keep an eye on this Vspeed Chevrolet. We'll probably give him a bit of slack as well. One of our good friends. I work with him well in the Sunoco Cup Series, and one of the best members of Vspeed that you'll find anywhere as he tries to approach the league CEO, Quentin Stewart, in the 24. So maybe going to be trying to be a little kinder here to the league owner as he moves down low and keeping that patient approach to go underneath here on lap number 35. So we continue to see the field develop, and watch this. Top two, Jake, have completely evaporated the rest of the field behind. Trenton Wilkin has fallen back at least a second to Caleb Nelson and Ziegler leading this field, so the difference is already showing. It may be a case of Wilkin hitting the tire cliff as he leads a pack of four.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is, and Joyner's really wanting to try to slide by as much as he can. May end up opening the door for the point leader, his teammate, Daniel Monix. Saw Joyner get up a little bit high. Joyner's going to try to get the run, but you got to be able to really get that run off of the corners. There you see Monix actually going to try to make it going through the corner. Monix really running a different line than Ronnie Joyner is right now. And, I mean, you mentioned it right there with the cliff, the tire cliff, right there with Wilkin. He's straight up holding these other guys up. Either that, or Ziegler and Nelson, they are just that damn good, and they are that much better than the rest of the field because they have checked out to almost a second and a half, literally over the whole field. So it's either Wilkin hit that tire cliff and he's holding everybody back, or them two just straight up lights out.
Well, I got to ask you, though, Jake, if you're at this point in the race, tires are definitely falling off. You may be in a situation like Wilkin to where you see a bunch of cars behind you and you say to yourself, I can't make a mistake because then they're all going to be on me and I'm going to have a big problem. So there's Caleb Nelson going around Brandon Yates' lap car here. So what do? How do you alternatively change your driving style to get a little faster or to sort of plateau on that tire fall off as Brandon Yates goes right in front of that 12 machine, and they got pretty sketchy there on the front straightaway.
Yeah, I mean, they got straight up sketchy. I mean, and to answer your question, Kenneth, I mean, honestly, I think your bed's already laid, to be honest with you, or made, I should say. I think that's exactly, what's going on with Wilkin. I think he's just looking down there at the lap counter and basically just clicking them suckers off, just waiting to at least halfway. That way he can jump down pit road and get him 4 fresh tires. Meanwhile, think about this. Green flag pit stops here at Dover. This place, it sucks. It's hard to get down pit road here. It really is. I mean, ask Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth hit the damn barrels going into the pits a long time ago and everything when Matt Kenseth was able to race. As you see, Monix going to take a shot around Joyner. That's going to move him up to the 4th spot. But this green flag pit stop sequence that we may be seeing right here, Kenneth, it is one of the hardest, if not the hardest, literally in America to be able to get on that pit road. So it's going to be real interesting to see when these guys end up getting it. As Wilkin and Monix, both of them getting the wall or off of turn 2.
It's getting tough to drive, but Monix ends up in 4th after getting by Joyner, who seems to have fallen off considerably because here comes Kevin West. Chuck Sweeting, 2 cars off in one corner, potentially, though the 75 will back out. But you make a great point, though. Dover is one of the hardest, if not probably the most difficult pit road entry in all of oval stock car racing because you got to brake and turn at the same time, something that these cars really don't like to do. So you probably have to be very careful, especially on that transition from the concrete surface to the apron and then making pit road speed limit, which sits at about 35 miles an hour. It is a crawl through pit lane and through your pit box, so you have to be tiptoe accurate in what you have to do in order to complete a successful pit stop, and we're getting near to that point and getting to halfway home. Monix is almost getting the best of Wilkin here. He dives down to the inside, pokes the nose underneath, and this battle up for auction. This is for 3rd.
And Monix is going to be able to get it. No, he's going to get turned straight into the fence, right off the front bumper of Wilkin. Kevin West gets involved. Multi-car crash coming off of turn number 4 with Wilkin. Monix and Kevin West. Caution is out.
Oh my. And the points leader involved in a 3-car mayhem. As Trenton Wilkin, Kevin West, they were all looking to move up through the field. Wilkin, one of the faster cars at the start of this race, now completely torn up at lap 44. And we We got to get a look at this replay. I believe it starts here with Molnix and Wilkin. You'll see how it all began. As a good run off of turn 2 by the 2 car goes underneath, and this looks routine, Jake, until they come up out of turn 4.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it was. And for a second, I thought Molnix maybe did come up, or no. No, Wilkin came down and got him. Hooked Molnix straight into the right rear, sends him in the wall. Kevin West got nowhere to go. He just had it basically locked down and then was not able to make it done. He just ends up sliding right into it. But the big, I guess you could say, losers out of that, obviously, is Molnix and also Wilkin. I think Kevin West, he slid through it. I think he's still going to be okay. But your point leader in a big-time hole already right before the halfway point of this race. And another thing about that, all those guys that we talked about, Ziegler, we talked about Joyner, all those guys, even Team Vspeed, all those guys up there at the top trying to get that points lead, they are now smelling blood in the water with the point leader getting hooked coming off of turn 4.
That is a hard hit, a vicious one coming out of the final corner, and then Kevin West just adding to the collateral damage. He just ends up spinning right as these guys were going around, and all of a sudden you have a huge crash bringing us our most recent caution. So all of the discussions about green flag pit stops, well, they're all eradicated now that this caution comes out. And near halfway home, Caleb Nelson getting 4 fresh tires. He won't be able to beat Jared Ziegler out of pit road, so the top 2 will remain that way. But in all of that, Chuck Sweeting has slid up to 3rd. Just the benefits of what having a clean car will get you, and just a slight mistake by both Molnix and Wilkin fighting for position number 3, getting them all involved. That's got to be a heartbreaker for sure, Jake, because you're one of the faster cars on the racetrack, and if you're Molnix, you're going in with momentum as the points leader, and all of a sudden, that just a minuscule mistake trying to operate around each other creates a caution. No, there was no intent from either side. They just wanted to race each other hard for the spot, and ultimately it keeps both of them now out of this race. They're going to try to get these cars repaired, but they are several laps down, and the damage is already done.
Well, I mean, I think Molnix really, I mean, he's completely done. I mean, he could probably sit there for the next 2 hours, even after the race is done, and they still ain't going to be able to fix that damn car, and probably not even Wilkins. I mean, literally now they look like a modified, much like Spencer Johnson did, and Spencer Johnson's 40 laps down. He's already left. So those guys, they can pretty much just go ahead and pack their stuff up and go ahead and head out west and go on out to Auto Club Speedway because their night is over. You see Kevin West, we saw him sliding into that right there, Kenneth, but didn't get as much damage as Wilkin and Molnix did, obviously. He's going to keep coming down pit road and try to get as much damage fixed as he possibly can. Lights are still on the pace car, so he's got plenty of time to get down there, maybe get him about maybe 15, 20 seconds of damage. Maybe that's all that he's got. So, I mean, every little bit of damage that you can try to get fixed will help you out because Aero comes into play big time here on what is a short track, but still, Aero comes into play here.
Well, for Kevin West, it looks like that car is mostly unscathed. I don't think there's really damage on that Chevy Camaro. Either he got it all fixed or he's going to get it fixed now, and it seems to be pretty minor. I don't think I see that much damage on that car, so I think Kevin West will be able to continue quite nicely, and he's finished in the top 10 in all but 2 races in this opening QSR Xfinity Series. He had a 3rd place run at Richmond and then had a win at Rockingham several weeks ago, which, you know, tonight Dover is the last of the 3-race short track stint, but Kevin West on a pretty good season overall and trying to become a champion at the end of this one, but escapes nearly that crash with Wilkin and Molnix. He will be able to continue, fortunately. Let's get a look at Quentin Stewart, the CEO of this league. He's in 13th as it stands. There's the camera there. We had it on the bottom right, but the 24 car going to settle nicely inside the top 15. We saw him and Bradley Cooper go at it side by side for a moment. We'll keep in tabs with all these guys and their cameras as we move forward throughout this race. But it's so impressive to see Ziegler and Nelson dominate the way that they have. If you're Chuck Sweeting, Ronnie Joyner, what do you keep in mind prior to this restart?
Just hope like hell that they get into one another because, I mean, honestly, both of them had straight up checked out and they were gone. So we'll see how they end up trying to play this differently. But all 16 of you out there in the live chat, light that sucker up. Who's going to win this sucker as we're getting ready for a restart?
It's Ziegler and Nelson, so far the class of the field. Will it stay that way near the halfway mark of tonight's race from the Monster Mile? Pace car is down once again. Our second restart of the night with Ziegler and Nelson door to door in the chase back to turn 1.
This is a completely different restart than what we've seen between Ziegler and Nelson, but now Ziegler able to power ahead. Sweeten down on the bottom side, got Joyner up top. Joyner and Sweeten, they door bang coming into turn 3, but now Sweeten's going to get the best of him. Joyner going to drop down. Try to jump into that 4th spot. Marshall Newton trying to get a run. Now Sweeten getting loose. Joyner trying to figure out which lane he wants to get around. And Sweeten now going for second on Caleb Nelson.
It's a solid shot for Sweeting to break into the top 2, but he just can't hold on to the throttle coming out of the second corner. And here's Joyner with a crossover down low. The Superman Chevrolet goes to the inside. Marshall Newton following suit, and this may be trouble for Chuck Sweeting because look at all the cars down low. CJ Gates gets into the 76. They door bang. They made it 3 wide momentarily, and somehow, some way, Chuck Sweeting stays in the top 4 right on board with Gates.
Wow, Gates back there got Scooby-Doo on the hood of it. Come on, Scooby, get that sucker rolling. Go find Shaggy, get you some Scooby snacks. Get up there and get a hold of this lead. And he gets a hell of a run coming off of 4. Boy, Scooby did want them Scooby snacks. Diving down to the inside of Marshall Newton. Kicks CJ Gates up to the top 5 and may have something for Sweden, but not now. Here comes Newton. He's going to fire back on the outside. And how about Galen Wunsch? We saw him slide back a little bit too, Kenneth. He's starting to slide up here and make his presence felt as well. But CJ Gates able to get by Newton. Wunsch gets loose. He's got to fall back in line behind Newton.
Nice job catching the race car. Wunsch has been in the top 10 basically the entire race, but he might be under fire from a new entrant into the top 10. Derek McMurtry in the 48 car. This is the Lowe's Monster Zinc Toyota Supra, I guess sort of invoking back then when Jimmy Johnson ran a Madagascar animation style paint scheme that took him to the victory at this very racetrack. We're keeping tabs with them, but the battle for second is decided and still ongoing. Here's Ronnie Joyner down low on Caleb Nelson. Squeaks by at the exit of turn 2. Joyner to P2.
Superman's got the cape out and son. He's wanting to try to go to the front here at Dover. Ronnie Joyner able to slide right by Caleb Nelson. He's going to get up on the back bumper of Ziegler. And each and every one of you out there in the live chat that have watched the QSR Xfinity Series know that there is a little bit of beef maybe going on between Ziegler and Venom Motorsports. Well, the leader of Venom Motorsports, he's up your back bumper right now, Ziegler. You might want to be watching. Superman dives in right on the tailgate, or back bumper, I should say, of Ziegler. Now both of these guys going to try to get away from the rest of the field as we see them almost squirming around. Wunsch tries to get down the inside of Newton. Sweeten goes up top. Here comes CJ Gates. He's going to go to 4th now.
Race high 4th for the 9 car. We keep the battle for the race lead on the screen. Joyner is there. He almost deals the bumper to the back of the 57, but we're going to stay nose to tail. They approach a bit of lap traffic in about several laps, but Joyner is methodically putting this pass done in his head. He's running the middle, trying to arc the corner in turns 2 and 4. Lap car will let the leaders by on nice courtesy, but the run out of 2 is going to get the 00 a chance at the race lead. Door to door for the top spot in 3 and 4.
Joyner down on the bottom, Ziegler up top. Gotta be careful coming off of 4. You can get really tight there. Still door banging, more door banging between the 00 and the 57. Joyner on the inside, Ziegler up top. Ziegler may get the run. Joyner trying to stay off of him. Right on his left rear, trying to pull him back. Use whatever side draft he can. Both of them racing the hell out of these cars here at Dover. Right now with about 40 laps to go, Joyner still trying to get Ziegler.
Oh, but he can't clear the 57. It is a specific art to run down low at a short track like Dover and make a pass. You need a mistake out of the driver up top, or you need a good enough run. Both of them tank slap the outside wall, and Joyner unsuccessful on attempt number 1. He'll hit the reset button and try again, but they have since pulled away from Caleb Nelson. Another run of note for the 00. He may peak to the bottom. He does. He gives the bumper to Ziegler. He forces him up the racetrack, and once again, we are physical this time for the lead.
Crank up the band. It's showtime here at Dover Motor Speedway. Ziegler and Joyner. Joyner had to get out of the gas. Almost ended up turning him, but he's hit him a couple of times. He's let Ziegler know, hey, I'm a little bit faster than you right now, bud. Might want to pull out of the way. But Ziegler, he's got none of it. Check out CJ Gates back here with the Scooby colors, going for third. Nelson up top, but Nelson is going to get the run. But CJ Gates has really put on a clinic right now, started 12th. He's up to fourth. One of the biggest movers in the field as a lap car went way down on the bottom of the racetrack is Joyner back up on the back bumper of Jared Ziegler. This is a hell of a battle heating up here at Dover.
It is not over yet, and Ziegler knows it. He's looking in the rearview mirror and just wondering what Joyner is going to do next. Both of the attempts have been to the inside, one a little more physical than the other, but the Superman car still keeping his eyes on the villain. In this case, it's Ziegler. Ziegler also a two-time winner this season. One time at Sonoma, then the next one at Darlington, but Joyner hasn't won a race in this 2024 QSR Xfinity Series, so he's searching for win number one on the campaign, and what a way if he could do it several races before the postseason. The run out of 2 equalizes him with the 57, so the battle for the top spot at least a little calmer now, although Joyner wanted to dive it deep in the mid-corner, looking for the better exit out of turn 4, and they will settle out. Ziegler still the race leader, but look at all this. I think CJ Gates somehow fallen out of the equation. He's dropped to 16th place. What has happened to the 9 car?
He has got some serious issues. I'm going back and watching the lap before. Both him and Nelson, they door bang for third. Nelson ends up getting into CJ Gates, and then you're going to see Newton get into the back of Gates, sent him hard up into the outside wall. Gates gets back up into the wall, and from what I'm seeing, he has a meatball flag, which means, folks, he's got to get that damage fixed. It is required damage that 9 has got to get fixed. So unfortunate for Gates. He was having a hell of a run here this evening, but unfortunately for him, it's like he's going to have to go to the pits, get some of that damage fixed. As you see Bradley Cooper back here in the 25, trying to get him some. He's up inside the top 10. He's got Philbrick behind him. Cooper trying to go after Terciano right now for that 8th spot, as we still keep our eyes on this battle with Joyner and Ziegler. But there you see Terciano. He gets into the fence. Here comes Bradley Cooper on the outside.
Cooper up top. This is for an entry spot into the top 10, and just a tough situation there for CJ Gates. That is suspension damage on the right front, so he takes his Chevrolet down pit road. And one thing about this series, there are no fast repairs, no gimmies for a clean race car. So if you do get damage that hampers your race car, you're just going to have to come down pit road and get all of it fixed. You bring up the point there, a meatball flag is required. He cannot continue on, or else he will be disqualified. So CJ Gates will go several laps down. He's already 2 down from the leaders, back in 19th. So just the night getting worse here for the Cartoon Network Chevrolet Camaro. Battle for the lead continuous here on lap number 68 of 105. Ziegler and Joyner remain nose to tail, although Joyner has given it all that he's got to get the race lead. It's never been fruitful in any sense. Drives it mid-corner, cannot get the run off the exit, and he stays back in second as they have pulled away from Caleb Nelson and company. We'll keep on with these drivers in the top 10 like we saw Cooper there. Derek McMurtry, we mentioned him slightly, and then Ryan Philbrick, who you mentioned there. Jake doing a nice job moving into the top 10 after starting in 14th.
Yeah, I mean, Philbrick doing a fantastic job right now. He's got Kevin West right behind him. West trying to see if he can fire himself back through the field. But Philbrick been very quiet tonight. And, you know, Kenneth, that is something that, you know, a lot of drivers probably came into the Dover tonight really just wanting to survive, have a quiet night, and come out of here with a top 10, get you some points, and carry on the Auto Club. So Philbrick doing a fantastic job right now, sitting ninth. West trying to get the run, may look down to the inside, but no run was to be able to be made. But this battle up at the front still getting hot, but Philbrick and West battling it out right now for that ninth spot.
Still going at it, and West, like we have talked about, is still trying to recover from being involved in that big accident between Trenton Wilkin and the points leader, Daniel Molnick. So the one car who escaped with minimal damage went down pit road and got all of that solved. So he's still trying to get back in this one. The time, though, is running out with about 34 laps remaining here at Dover. He needs either a caution or just all of a sudden put some nitrous on that Chevrolet and start hauling. But right now, no deal for the one. He stays behind Philbrick as it stands. And it looks like this is the cliff that Joyner has hit at this point of the race, Jake. It's become difficult to pass the 57, stuck in dirty air for all that time. And with 33 laps to go, Ziegler is pulling away once again.
I'll say this, you better watch that guy back there in the third spot, Caleb Nelson. Both of those guys, Ziegler and Joyner, both of them have just racing. I mean, they've just been racing each other like teetotal crap, to be honest with you, Kenneth. I mean, they've been all over one another, door banging one another, bumper banging one another. Caleb Nelson's just been back here literally on a Tuesday night drive, just taking it easy. And he's had nobody even around him. Marshall Newton's not got around him. Chuck Sweeten's not got around him. Nobody's gotten around that 0-7 to Caleb Nelson. Nelson may be the one that we really need to be watching out for, especially if this sucker goes green all the way to the end, Kenneth. That 0-7 may be in victory lane for 2 weeks in a row.
Well, hey, you were talking about how they were racing each other pretty tough out there. Well, I mean, you kind of brought it up. Old school racing, right? You got to move a driver. You got to get rough with them if you want to get that spot. And that's exactly what happened with Joyner. But to give you notes on what's exactly happened with the 0-0, his last lap, a 24.661. Ziegler set a 24.473. So the fall off is approaching the 0-0 car. The kryptonite is starting to strike Superman, and Caleb Nelson is pouncing like a panther as he goes to the bottom. The onboard look with the 07 as he moves through. And boy, Nelson, of course, no explanation, has been fast all night long, and he does look to become, I think, the first driver this season to have back-to-back wins. We talked about it having 2 race wins in the last 4 races. So Nelson, one of the hotter drivers in this series as it goes, and this surely to be a methodical pass, cleanly done on Ronnie Joyner. But I don't know if Joyner here, Jake, is going to employ the Ryan Newman and just say, I'm going to put up a brick wall, have fun getting around me.
Well, I mean, Joyner's got something he's got to race for. I mean, you know, Kenneth, I mean, obviously your point leader, he's out. So Joyner, seeing that right there, he's got to be able to try to go, okay, I got to maximize the points that I can get. If Ziegler ends up winning this thing, I got to at least finish right behind him. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. He's going to jump to the top side. Nelson down on the bottom side. Joyner almost gets up into the wall. But Joyner trying to maximize the opportunity. We talked about it. Bragging rights going into the chase. Joyner wanting to be ahead of everybody, be up there at the top of the mountain. What do you got to do? You got to win, or you got to get the most points. Right now, the second guy in the points, Ziegler, he's winning this sucker. Joyner's got to at least finish in second to be able to still have a chance to stay right there with Jared Ziegler.
You're right, and with Caleb Nelson, it's sort of like the idea of, well, in the perspective of Ronnie Joyner, Nelson's really not in the picture for the championship lead right now. He gained 3 spots in the standings up to 11th after the big win at Richmond last week. But other than that, he's still on the upward trend. He's still moving up to the point standings while, like I said, Joyner's trying to defend and trying to move on. With Daniel Molnick's out of this race, that's a big opportunity to get a hefty punch in and knock out the opponent. So this race will get tough for second. And I see what Joyner's doing, Jake. He's sort of going down low in the corner, then arcing up high, and then going back down low, the diamond approach in the corner. But part of that is to get the run, number 1, but number 2, give Nelson a bit of that dirty air. Although Caleb goes down low, they're splitting lap traffic up top. No run for Nelson as he has to check up. Joyner stays in second.
Yeah, Joyner trying to hold on. They went around the 15. Brandon Yates going yet another lap down. Joyner playing some seriously very, very good defense right now. As you see the battle back here for the 4th spot, actually, excuse me, that was Marshall Newton going around the lap car of Yates. Everybody going by Yates right now, but still a little battle going on back here for that 4th spot. Chuck Sweeten. We haven't talked a lot about Chuck this season. Matter of fact, this may be his very first race here with the QSR Xfinity Series. I don't remember him in any of the other races so far this season. So good showing by a newbie out here in the 75 of Chuck Sweeten. He ain't got a sponsor on that damn car. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you get your top 5 out of this right here, I got a feeling you'll end up getting a sponsor when this thing's all said and done.
There might be a sponsor watching right now on Vspeed. So Chuck Sweeting is impressing the sponsors at the moment. Beautiful Chevrolet Camaro nonetheless. Trying to look on forward to that 4th place car of Marshall Newton. And yeah, I don't think I've seen Chuck Sweeting in any of the data that I've looked at from this series either. So it appears a great debut here for the driver of the 75. Started back in 3rd, he dropped 2 spots to 5th. But nonetheless, not a night to complain about here with about 22 laps to go. There's the battle for second up the road. Caleb Nelson getting into the quarter panel of Ronnie Joyner. They will still remain indecisive for this position, nearly out of turn 2. But Joyner gives this one up as Nelson tags the wall. Never mind. AI crossover back to turn 3.
Here comes Joyner down on the bottom side. Nelson had him, but now he's not able to pull the trigger. And you got to feel right now, honestly, kid, that Nelson's got to be getting, Joyner's got to be getting on Nelson's nerves really bad right now, because Nelson, one of the fastest cars, could be on the racetrack, but Joyner holding him up right now for that second spot. They're just letting Ziegler literally drive away from the field. He's got a 2.5 second lead on Joyner and Nelson for this battle for the second spot. Nelson may end up using a little bit, or just a little bit of short track mentality. If he gets a shot right here on Joyner, he may put the bumper to him, send him up the hill just for holding him back for so long. So this battle for second, it's far from over.
I almost thought that was the moment there going into turn one. Joyner about shut the door on Caleb Nelson. That looked a little aggressive there into the corner, but we're going to say nose to tail. But as long as they do this, Jake, you know who's right behind them? Newton and Chuck Speedy. They can take advantage too and make this a 4-horse fight, because you know they're running single file, they're not pressuring each other, just running their own race. They see what's happening in front for a second and they're like, well, this is an open spot, why not? Let's go for it if these guys are going to slow each other up. Lap car gets turned right in front. That is Tyler Clement, who gets a hard hit from Bradley Cooper, Kevin West and others involved, and the carnage ensues. At lap 87, the caution is out for the third time tonight.
Wow, Bradley Cooper, hate to see it for Bradley Cooper, gets involved. There you see right there the lap car of Coleman gets in, or Clement, excuse me, gets into it. There you see Bradley Cooper. Morgan Cook, if you're watching this right here, brother, just go ahead and turn it off. You don't want to see this right there. There you see him. I mean, he is stunned. I mean, that's what can happen here at Dover. I mean, cautions just sometimes just come out of absolutely nowhere. And there, I mean, there you see it right there. Bradley Cooper, he's basically driving a modified like literally half the field probably has so far this evening. Bradley Cooper looks like his night is over with. Hate to see it for him.
And the suspension damage, too, isn't going to deal him much better on the cards. And, yeah, he can't even steer it entering pit road. He has to bang it off the inside wall from the pit lane to be able to turn it and trying to get it into his box. We're going to look at the replay and how this all unfolded, and this was basically right around where Marshall Newton and company were, and unfortunately they get into Tyler Clement, who had fallen 9 laps down, was running his own race, and unfortunately got tagged here.
Yeah, I mean, he just comes right here off of turn 2. There you see Marshall Newton. Honestly, I don't think he got tagged. Yeah, actually, he did get tagged. I thought he got loose, but bam, hits the inside wall. Cooper just tries to send it, see if he can get around. Kevin West involved in another incident here this evening with Ryan Philbrick. Both of those drivers trying to squirt and swam, trying to get around him. But, wow, I mean, a lot of guys getting affected right there by Clement, especially Bradley Cooper and even Kevin West. I mean, it's crazy right here. I mean, these wrecks that happen here, kid, they are literally track blockers. You see Clement come down and then come straight back up. He hit the wall so damn hard, he come all the way back up to the outside lane right in front of Cooper. Cooper had nowhere to go. He was just full sim, probably closed his eyes and prayed to God that he didn't hit him. Well, Cooper, I hate to tell you, buddy, you nailed him.
Yep, and unfortunately there for Cooper, he's out. We'd imagine that Tyler Clement is also out of this race. He puts his car to the garage, so another DNF here from the Monster Mile. It gets another victim as Kevin West, you look at him with some damage, getting away from that barely. I think he's been involved in almost several incidents tonight, but he's gotten really close to being torn out of this race. He remains trucking on, and you know, we were talking about also another driver that was really close to that, Ryan Philbrick in the 06. So he swapped down low just to get away from the spinning Clement, who got ricocheted back down the racetrack. And you make a really good point there, Jake, about this track. It's track blocking and it's self-cleaning. You know, often we talk about the banking here on the straightaways to where if you wreck up the hill, you're going to go down somewhere. The wreck is going to go either up or down on this track with the banking. And you know, we also mentioned the Jimmy Johnson spin, right, from 2006. It was a save, but where did he go? He went down low. This track often itself cleans, and it cleaned several drivers out on that instance. As Jared Ziegler will continue to lead this field, and they all came down pit road, Jake. I don't think that was a surprise at all, but in essence, it was a save here for Ronnie Joyner, who was about to give up second place to Caleb Nelson. On the tire fall off, now he's got a fresh set of Goodyear Eagles, and we know how fast he was on the short run. It's going to be a 15-lap run, a little under 15 laps till the checkered flag.
Well, I mean, I said it a while ago. I mean, I said it to, you know, crank up the band. It's showtime here at Dover, folks. No, this is when the band's going to get crunk up right here big time right now. Joyner, we saw him get into Ziegler just a little bit, tried to muscle him out of the way, that short track feel. So Joyner's going to get another shot right now. That caution right there, granted at the expense of Cooper and Clement, that's going to help out Joyner right here. That's going to open the door for a wide range of possibilities right here. And really, it's going to open the door for some of these other guys like Chuck Sweeten, Marshall Newton, even Kevin West, all the hell that he's been through here tonight. He's sitting in 6th position right now. Wunsch, Bagot, Terciano, Philbrick, all these guys still got a shot to try to win this thing. That caution come out. Really, I guess you could say screwed Jared Ziegler, but it opened the door for the rest of the field.
Another opportunity for everyone else to get back in this one, and several of those drivers who have taken advantage of the way this race has played out, they can get some top 10s out of this, so it will be really nice. Lights are off from the iRacing official pace car. Jared Ziegler is set to lead this one back to the green at lap 92 with about 13 laps to go. Ronnie Joyner was fighting him for the lead. He's sluggish on this restart. Caleb Nelson is down low for second. Green flag back in the air from Dover.
And that's exactly what Jared Ziegler needed to see, and he's loving what he sees behind him now. Everybody dive straight into Ziegler. Ziegler may have got a little bit loose in the middle of the turn, but now Nelson, he's going to get clear of Joyner. Joyner falls in line. Here comes Chuck Sweeten. Get this man a damn sponsorship back there in the 4th spot. Chuck Sweeten up here racing with the big boys.
He doesn't have that many decals on his car, but it gives him extra horsepower, it seems. He's fast out here at Dover. He's going to hold up with this top 5. Marshall Newton leading this group of 5 going out of turn 2. They've separated quite a bit from everyone else. Now Joyner for the counterattack down low on Nelson. Almost a bit of contact in turn 4. Indeed, they make contact off the corner.
Joyner and Nelson door banging once again, and Joyner's going to take the 2nd spot. Nelson tries to send it. He backs away. Joyner gets clear with the 2nd spot, and he sets his sights on the 57. Jared Ziegler. Joyner's still looking for that first win of the season. Not able to do it, but I'll say this. With Superman on the hood of the car, that kryptonite may be long gone right here, Kenneth.
We'll see, though. 11 laps to go, and Ziegler's got the lead. We know Joyner was able to close in on this Supra and make it a 2-horse fight. Wasn't able to complete the pass, but enough to pressure Ziegler, and that could be the threshold at this juncture of the race for Ziegler to make a mistake. We know that Joyner has had 2 second-place finishes. That was early in the season at both Las Vegas and Kansas, but his best short-track race was last week at Richmond with 4th. This is the best we've seen him run on a short track all season long, and could be the door wide open for him to get that first win like we were talking about, Jake. But so far, it's all Ziegler. Doesn't help for Joyner that he gets into the wall. Car back there who got into the wall and went down low. Trying to figure out who that was, but everything seems to be clean and all single file with about 9 left here from the Monster Mile.
I mean, right now, you're not saving anything if you're these guys up here, Ziegler, Joyner, Nelson, Sweeten, Newton. Hell, you're not saving anything if you're anybody in the field, honestly, Kenneth. It is full sand, and if you end up hitting the wall, so be it. At least you tried. You see Austin Dowdy back here, number 8 Ally car back here. He's got Quentin Stewart in the 24. Right behind him, Kevin West has actually slipped back a little bit. He's back there in the 10th spot right behind this battle. Dowdy trying to hold off Quentin Stewart as much as he can. But I've still got my eyes up here as we may have a battle for second brewing on our hands. Nelson got up on the back bumper of Joyner. Stewart and the 8 of Dowdy get into the wall, but we still see this battle up here. 5-horse race right now. Ziegler, Joyner, Nelson, Sweeten, and Newton.
These guys are not giving an inch, at least not yet, but the time is running out. It will be about 6 laps to go at the stripe. We know that Joyner still can get this run on Ziegler, but he needs to use his run now or else the time may expire before he can get there. Ziegler looking for his 3rd win of the season. He'll cross the line for about 5 laps to go. From Dover, does Joyner have anything left in the tank, and does Nelson hold him up?
Nelson trying to see if he can get there, and Ziegler probably wants Nelson to get there. Probably try to get them racing side by side, maybe get some door banging going on. That way Ziegler can try to power away and try to get away. Ziegler still has it. Joyner, Nelson, Sweeten, Newton, nobody's changed spots so far, but the front 5 have straight up left. Everybody caution. Caution is on the speedway, Kenneth.
And it's Derek McMurtry in the 48. He was running inside the top 10, and he's fallen back to 17th and counting as he slaps the inside guardrail and got involved in this accident. It appears maybe another car was taken out in this one. And this is a pivotal caution that could give us green, white, checkered territory for the first time tonight. And here's how it all transpired with the 83 car alongside.
Yeah, there you see Stephen McGough, a little bit of door banging coming off of turn 2. A lot of door banging. Actually, McMurtry, there may be beef right there with that Kenneth. Oh, there is beef with that one right there. He full damn send in there and got McGough. You saw him door bang. Then McMurtry he went all the way down the bottom. We'll just call it what it was. He full sent it, and he got him right there. That's big right there. That is straight up big. You'll see it once again. McMurtry, they come off of turn 2. McGough kind of pitches him down a little bit. McMurtry did. He hooked the right. He came up into him, and then after that, they went into 3. He just didn't lift. And hate to see it, for I believe that was the 47, I believe, right behind him. No, excuse me, that was the 4 of Reed Sanders. Just an innocent bystander out of all this.
Oh, he got so much damage there on the front end of his Chevrolet Camaro. He's still getting it fixed. And yeah, that's prime beef served on a platter there for McGough. You saw what happened there with the 48 of McMurtry. And the contact sends both of them down to pit road. They're going to try to get their cars fixed. We'd imagine for both of them, though, the night might be over. McGough has called it an end to this one from the Monster Mile. And we also are looking for McMurtry in the 48. He's still holding out hope on pit road. Oh, boy, that was sketchy. But guess what? It bunches up the field again. And I'd imagine for the 00 of Ronnie Joyner, Jake, there was a hard-learned lesson on that last restart to where Ziegler got ahead by several car lengths and Joyner had no response. Instead, he had to play defense on the inside running car, Caleb Nelson. There might be a way for Joyner to reattempt this restart and get a better run to the first corner, because that's what he needs. Shut off Nelson, and he could be okay to catch Ziegler.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to get right down on that 57's door, keep everybody quiet, and just listen. And when he hears that 57 fire off, or at least try to time it, Ziegler may end up having a pattern of how he does some of his restarts, and Joyner may have tried to figure it out. He may have figured it out this time. But the big thing about that, Kenneth, right there in that Geico restart zone, Ziegler can go any point that he wants to when he gets inside that blue Geico restart zone. So Ziegler may end up going early or later than what he did that last time around. Could throw Joyner for a loop right here, because this could be our only attempt right here for a green, white, checkered finish, because it looks like that's exactly what we're going to end up going to right here.
We end up in overtime from Dover, and here is how it all will work. We'll get a double file restart like we've had after all the cautions all night long. We'll run with 2 laps to go at the start-finish line. If we do get the white flag, the leader will take us all the way home, and whatever transpires is whatever will happen. Checkered flag will still fly nonetheless, and we will have a winner tonight in race number 12 of the QSR Xfinity Series. However, if a caution does come out, then we will restack them and try again. We have several attempts to finish this race under green flag circumstances, and if we burn all of our available attempts, well, that means that the winner will be decided under yellow once the caution comes out before the white flag on the last overtime attempt. Jared Ziegler, remember, looking for win number 3 of the 2024 season. Joyner looking for win number 1. Nelson searching for 2 in a row. And you got to give credit to Chuck Sweeting, who's been in contention all night long after starting in 3rd. Well, this blank car is certainly impressing us in the booth and will impress a ton of the drivers in this series. He might also have a shot to win this just in case push comes to shove. Jake, any anticipation on what this restart might bring?
Chaos.
Yep.
All hell's fixing to break loose right here, Kenneth. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Chuck Sweeten ends up winning this race, I'm going to put my podcast on the hood of his car. I will get in touch with him. The door banging download, it'll end up being on the hood of his car. But, to answer your question, Kenneth, all hell's fixing to break loose. Chaos. These guys right here, they're going to be full sending, and they're not going to give a damn what happens right here.
You know what? I would give my input, but I literally agree with everything you just said. It might get wild here from Dover. Set up for the restart with 2 laps to go. Ziegler up ahead first, and there is the 00 with no chance to respond. Caleb Nelson down low. 2 laps to go from Dover.
Joyner and Nelson once again, they door bang. We'll see if they're able to get the run right here on Ziegler. Ziegler looks like he's going to fire away. Joyner goes back to second. Newton in a battle back there with Galen Wunsch, but it's all Ziegler coming to the white flag.
This is exactly what Jared Ziegler needs. The 57 car pulls away as Joyner finally gets ahead of Caleb Nelson for second place. They're battling further back there with Galen Wunsch in the 199 and Joseph Terciano in the 21. They fight for sixth place. Joyner is there. He slaps the outside wall coming out of turn 2. The run up to turns 3 and 4. Ziegler, who's been strong all night long, is going to walk this one off in dominating style. Race win number 3 for Jared Ziegler.
Ziegler gets it. Joyner and Nelson end up being your podium finishers here tonight. Chuck Sweeten, even though he didn't get the win, he's still going to get fourth. Marshall Newton held off Galen Wunsch for a top 5 here tonight, but Ziegler dominating fashion. Look at that right there. 106 laps. How many damn laps were in this thing? 106. We just saw another dominant, a perfect race right there for the 3rd win of the season right there for the 57 of Jared Ziegler.
Well, we know that last week at Richmond, Caleb Nelson led all but 1 lap. In the Commonwealth of Virginia, Ziegler finished second in that race, didn't lead any. And tonight he responds with a clinic of his own. Winner for the 3rd time this season and first at a short track in 2024, Jared Ziegler. The winner here from Dover Motor Speedway. An absolutely phenomenal drive for the 57. And with that, we'll try to get to the unofficial race results here from the Monster Mile as Ziegler continues his celebrations. Up front is the number 57, Ziegler, with his tertiary race win of the 2024 season after 4 cautions and a 0 lead changes, a straight-up goose egg. Ziegler was up front all race long. Ronnie Joyner, he gave it all that he had after starting in 9th. One of the stronger drivers, especially near the end as this track developed over the race. He finishes in 2nd. Caleb Nelson to round out your podium. We'll talk to all 3 of them before we wrap up our coverage tonight. Chuck Sweeting, I think, Jake, even if he didn't win this race, you got to give him a sponsorship. He definitely deserves it after a run like this. Marshall Newton in the 76 closes out our top 5. A strong one for him as well. Galen Wunsch in the 199 closes this one out in P6. Kevin West, got to give him credit for the comeback he executed over this race, being involved basically in 2 incidents tonight. He recovers to a top 10 run. Joseph Terciano ends up getting 8th place. Quentin Stewart, the CEO of this series, is 9th. And rounding out the top 10, it will be the number 4 car of Reed Sanders. Also a phenomenal comeback for him.
Then Ryan Philbrick's going to end up getting 11th. Ethan Wisnowski, one of the big-time drivers here for the QSR Xfinity Series, also won at Talladega for the Thursday night series. He's going to end up finishing 12th here tonight. Not too bad. Started 24th. It's a pretty good drive by that number 5. Stephen McGough, with all that beef that he had with Derek McMurtry, he's still going to come out on the winning end of all that and end up finishing 13th. Austin Dowdy, the last driver to finish on the lead lap, will get 14th. The rest of these drivers 1 lap down or more. Frank Walsh will end up finishing 15th. Randy Sally will get 16th. There's where you see Derek McMurtry in the 48 after that hellacious crash with McGough. He will get 17th on the evening. Mike Petrum will end up finishing 18th. Brandon Yates will get 19th. And unfortunate to see right there for Team Vspeed, Bradley Cooper finishes 20th.
And right behind them, 21st, 27 laps down, was Tyler Clement, who got hooked on the back straightaway and just innocently involved in an accident. And unfortunately, he got out of the race based on that. CJ Gates, strong run midway through, and then got a touch of the outside wall and suspension damage. He ends up 22nd. Ryan Commons in the 3 car in 23rd. Bradley Hall to close out the top 24. And Trenton Wilkin, Daniel Molnix, 2 of the biggest names early in the night, unfortunately taken out in an incident with each other. And the points leader could lose the lead going out of tonight, entering Auto Club, but it's going to be really close. Spencer Johnson rounds out the 28-car field from the virtual Dover Motor Speedway. Let's get a chance to talk with your top 3, and we begin with the race winner by dominating fashion. Jared Ziegler in the number 57 grabs his 3rd win of the season. We'll see if we can bring him in. I don't think I have permissions to drag him in. Jake, not sure if you can help me here, if we can bring Jared Ziegler into Dover victory lane. And there he is. Jared Ziegler, for the 3rd time in 2024, is a winner. Jared, I don't know what else to say about this one because this one was absolutely dominating front to back from you on all fronts. You led every single one of the 106 laps. What does this win mean to you, especially after last week's race at Richmond where you fell second to the driver who dominated that one in Caleb Nelson?
Oh, it's a huge boost. I mean, I've been stuck on the bubble 2-3, whatever, the past few weeks. I couldn't just push that bubble, pop the bubble, and get the win. Um, so it's a huge win. I love Dover. It's one of my favorite racetracks. It drove so different from what I'm used to. I've been out of the Xfinity car for a while, so I'm trying to relearn it as well. But I figured it out this race. I don't know what I was doing. I can't tell you what I was doing. I tried to tell my teammates, and they couldn't figure it out either. But whatever it was, I mean, it clearly worked. I'm glad it worked, and hopefully we can continue this momentum on to Auto Club, I believe is next.
Well, you didn't have this race without a fight, certainly. We knew that the rearview mirror was filled up several times throughout the race. We know Caleb Nelson gave you a good shot at it early. Ronnie Joyner then for the rest of the race in that 0-0. What was that moment like to fend off both of those really strong drivers as the race developed, and especially as the cautions were flying out the way that they did? It seemed like we got a really long run, and the cautions came out pretty late, but you had hefty competition behind you to defend.
Yeah, they definitely gave me a run for my money. I I can definitely say I'm not a short run driver. As much poles as I'm getting this season, I don't know what I'm doing in qualifying. I don't know what's happening, but I can't run a short run. I can't run 20 laps and beat everyone. I can be up there top five, that's fine, but I'm just a long run driver, and that's a disadvantage in this league. Our races are just so short that it's hurting my style of racing. So I need to kind of relearn how to race a little bit on that. But um, Ronnie's really good on the short runs. Caleb, he's one of my teammates. So I knew he wouldn't be fighting me too hard, but he was definitely giving me a run for my money early, and I still had to worry about him. I know that very long run we had towards the end of our race, when we got a caution with like 15 to go or so. I was just taking it easy, and Ronnie was running up my rear end, and it definitely was hard to try and fend him off while also preserving the tires, but it worked out, and I was so mad when that caution came out. I thought then that caution came out, it was over. So I'm glad I was able to just figure it out on the restarts and prevail at the end.
Well, you certainly claim that you don't know what's going on to get the poles and the wins, but regardless, it's working, and you are available fast race car driver, and we can tell here from this race tonight at Dover. And you talked about it heading into Auto Club, a huge boost of momentum. You were back 12 points from Daniel Monix going into tonight, and we're probably sure, we don't know for sure right now, but it looks like you may have the points lead in going into the final regular season race before the playoffs begin. So what does that mean for you heading now into a bigger track like Auto Club, trying to close out the regular season as strong as possible?
Oh, it's huge. Auto Club, I've never been good at Auto Club or Michigan. I've run solid there, but it's never been my normal Dover or any of the mile and a half speed that I have, or even short tracks for that matter. 2 miles is definitely my weak suit, so it's definitely nice to get a cushion on him. Not a cushion, but jump him to where I can now just race head to head and just try and follow him the entire race to keep the points lead going into the playoffs, because that's going to be a huge advantage being able to choose what track I want to race for the championship. So that's definitely huge in my mind. It's also huge. I've raced one less race than him, so that's a huge confidence booster that I was able to gain a whole race over a, what is this, probably 11 race season so far for me. So that's huge, and just like I said, confidence boost. Going into playoffs, I'm the guy to beat. So that's the way I want it to be, and if someone beats it, then fair game to them, and bravo. But right now, it seems like Caleb and I are the top two fastest drivers week in, week out.
On top of the QSR world after this win from Dover Motor Speedway. Jared, on behalf of all of us here at Vspeed, congratulations on the big W. But before we let you go, anybody you want to give a shout out to before we let you bounce?
Of course, shout out my teammates. Caleb Nelson finished P3 tonight. He qualified in pole. Um, he raced me hard into Richmond, turn one, and got the lead off of me when I had pole. So we made the agreement that I can race him hard into turn one at Dover here, and I got the lead and won the race. So we traded blows last week and this week, so it's fair game there. Shout out to Marshall Newton as well, my other teammate. He finally got a top 5 again this season. He's been struggling. He's been the 6th place driver like 4 or 5 weeks in a row. He finally burst the bubble to get into that top 5, so hopefully he can continue that momentum and slowly climb up that ladder and fight for podiums with us and hopefully wins towards the end of the year. Shout out to you guys for putting on a great show. I can't wait to watch back this race and see what I was doing wrong. I was doing something wrong in turn 1 and 2, especially on the short runs. Let's see. I might be to find out what I was doing wrong now, watching back the replays. And, of course, QSR for putting on the show. Can't run a race without someone hosting the race. So shout out to all of them and their admin team for putting on the show for us and letting us run a full season.
Well, Jared, it's picture perfect from start to finish for you here. The win at Dover Motor Speedway, your 3rd of the season. Congratulations on the win here tonight from the Monster Mile, and looking forward to seeing you and the rest of the field take on Auto Club next week.
Thank you very much.
Jared Ziegler in the number 57 brings us the top spot, his 3rd win of the season, and with that, we will toss it back to 2nd place, and that is Ronnie Joyner in the 00, who's caught up with Jake Reeves.
Absolutely, got Ronnie Joyner up here in the broadcast booth, and Ronnie, I mean, hell of a race, honestly. You know, started 9th, worked your way up to that 2nd spot. Was there anything more that you could have done right there with Jared Ziegler to try to be able to get this win?
Just needed some fresh tires. That's all I needed there. I think a little bit fresher tires, I could have did it, but it was a great race. There was a lot of white knuckle racing between him, me, and CJ. We were battling for the lead there for a while, so that was pretty fun. And
obviously, I mean, you know, Ronnie, obviously, you know, we talked about it on the broadcast, you know, smelling blood in the water. Obviously, the point leader, Daniel Molnix, you know, falling out, had that early wreck. I mean, obviously, I know that y'all are teammates with Venom Motorsports, but did it cross your mind where you go, damn, you know, the point leader's out. We're right here coming to the chase. There's a possibility that I could come up here and possibly be able to get the regular season points lead coming out of the night. I mean, did it cross your mind?
It didn't, honestly. I don't really pay attention to the points, and we just race each week just to race and finish where we finish.
And Ronnie, final question. I mean, you know, going to Auto Club next week to close out the regular season, what's the mindset going out there in California for Auto Club, for the Auto Club Speedway?
I hope we have a hot track. These cool tracks make it a little rough to race on and pass on in multi-groove. So hopefully we get some heat in that track out there in California, as I'm sure it's pretty blazing hot out there right now. So look forward to California. We run pretty good there, multi-groove, and rip that top around there.
Rip the top. Ronnie Joyner for Venom Motorsports. Obviously, I mean, congratulations on that 2nd place finish. And Ronnie, before we let you go, you got any sponsors, any shout outs you want to thank?
Yep, just shout out to Vspeed for putting on the broadcast. It's a good broadcast. And shout out to Venom Motorsports and QSR for what they do in this league. It's very fun.
Ronnie Joyner, folks, Superman on the hood with AC Delco, throwing it back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. Ronnie, appreciate your time. We'll see you at Auto Club.
All right, bud.
Ronnie Jordan in the 00. Love the Superman colors. Love the fast pace all night long. And he brings us one of the better races we had for the lead in the entire race. And so did the driver of the 07. We'll catch up with him now from 3rd place. That is last week's winner from Richmond, Caleb Nelson. A little short on this one, Caleb, but still a really strong race. You were up front trying to get there with Ziegler, fighting with Joyner at the end. What was all of that like specifically in those last runs? Because it felt like you had to dig into the box and get a little creative to try to get around Joyner, and it was a fun battle.
Oh, my car was terrible, short run. And then, you know, the longer you run behind somebody here, cold track, you're going to burn that right front off, and it just got hot. I was able to run Ronnie and Jared back down after I had cooled off my tire a little bit, but getting around Ronnie, I mean, as you saw, it's hard to pass. It's extremely hard to pass. I thought I had him clear off of 2, and I throttled up just a little bit too much and touched the wall enough to let him get back under me. So it was good racing, but the track's just too cold, honestly. Everybody's running the same pace.
And a lot of that was, of course, getting behind traffic, and you were talking about that, just looking to get around Ronnie Joyner and Ziegler. As you move forward through this race, and especially as you guys got that green-white checkered attempt, what was going through your mind then? Because it looked like a really good restart. You were fighting with Joyner, but it felt like you could not get over the hump and get by him. What was going through your mind prior to the restart, and then in that moment as you guys are taking the green flag with 2 to go?
Don't wreck. We were, I mean, throughout the race, we were racing really hard. There was casual contact here and there, but coming out of the corners, the car gets really light, and you don't want to flip somebody. You don't want to stick your nose in there and wreck somebody on the green white checkered. No matter if you're faster, what it is, you just don't want to wreck anybody. So that was kind of the goal there at the end, was to just bring it home. We need to secure ourselves. Well, I need to secure myself in the playoffs. So we're getting there, and I think we should be looking good going into Auto Club next week.
It is certainly looking good. This is your 4th podium finish in the last 5 races. So I'd say the consistency is working to your favor, along with those 2 wins that you got at Richmond and at Homestead, Miami earlier in the season. And now we move on to a big track like Auto Club. First time we see it all season long, or really a track like it in any case, in any form. So what are your thoughts about that as the regular season finale?
No, I'm excited. I love these big tracks. I love Auto Club in Michigan. It's If we can get the track hot and we can get some skill into it, where we're all not just piling it into the corner and it's sticking. We can put some skill into it where you have to work the throttle. Man, it's gonna be a fun race.
Well, it's going to be fun watching him there. Caleb, on behalf of all of us at Vspeed, congratulations on the top 3 finish from Dover. But before we let you go, anybody you want to thank for the run?
Yeah, I've got to thank, first of all, my teammates Jared Ziegler and Marshall Newton. I mean, obviously Jared with the win, Marshall coming home with another top 5. He's much deserved after some of the stretches he's had lately. I gotta thank you guys for broadcasting. It's always great to go back, watch. You know, it may not seem like it, but you can learn. Even just watching the broadcast back, we love that. QSR for putting the league on. It's been a long season, even though I haven't been here for all of it. But it's been a long season, and one more to go, and we'll get there and really start the season off in the playoffs.
Well, Caleb, it's a solid run tonight from Dover. I'm sure the consistency will ring forward into the postseason in several weeks. We appreciate the time. Thank you for joining us on Vspeed. Congratulations once again, and we'll see you in California.
And thank you. You guys have a good one.
That is Caleb Nelson, the driver who closes out the top 3 tonight from the virtual Dover Motor Speedway. And what a race we had there all the way to the end, Jake Reeves. It was so much fun watching all of the battles, but all in all, the common thread, Jared Ziegler dominating from start to finish to get his 3rd win.
Yeah, I mean, awesome to see right there for Ziegler. I mean, he basically, like you said, dominating. I mean, hell, he led 106 laps of literally 106 laps. I mean, you can't even make that up right there. I mean, that's storybook stuff. And, honestly, Kenneth, I mean, talking about storybook stuff, we're going out, next week. Swimming pools and movie stars next week, baby. Going to Auto Club out there. It's going to be awesome. 4, even 5 wide, bumpy old track. Hate to see that it's not on the schedule anymore, because that's one of the tracks that I absolutely love, especially watching them fan out right there on those restarts. I mean, what a race, honestly, to close out the regular season here for the QSR Xfinity Series. It's going to be a blast next week.
What a classic we'll have in 1 week time. California approaches us. We'll take a trip to Hollywood before we get to the racetrack and try to decide those that make the QSR Xfinity Series playoffs. Here's a look at the schedule just before we wrap things up tonight. There's Auto Club there. Next race on the docket just before July 4th. We'll have the start of the chase and the postseason, all of those searching for the championship. Now, we don't have the schedule there because the drivers will decide the schedule. They'll decide what tracks we go to, and Jake, you and I were talking about random tracks that some drivers might bring up just to have the edge over the competition. But regardless, in all seriousness, a great series so far and a great regular season that'll come to a culmination at Auto Club Speedway next week. So on behalf of all of us here at Vspeed, for Bradley Cooper and all of his support, for Adam Baker for all of his behind-the-scenes work at Vspeed, and for our crew on the broadcast tonight, for my colleague in the booth, Jake Reeves, I'm Kenneth Bueno saying so long from Dover Motor Speedway. Congratulations to Jared Ziegler on his 3rd win of the 2024 campaign. We close out the regular season in style from Auto Club next week. You won't want to miss it.